You guys keep speaking of a recession, and the only thing that comes to my mind is like, well, what are the policy responses to that? Like, where is it going to come from besides inflation? Like, if something happens with housing, don't you think that they would freeze it again or send out checks? Like, are we kind of in waters where you can make whatever prediction you want, but you don't know the policy response?
I don't know. I think that well, I mean, you know, I think a big reason why we're seeing a lot of inflation is a lot of the stimulus checks and a lot of the PPP lending and everything like that was giving easy access to capital, and that kind of caused you know inflation that we're seeing right now. I don't know how the policy is going to respond, but I definitely could see something like something as crazy as like an inflation stimulus check or something along those lines, which I don't think would be beneficial going forward. But yeah, I think it's essentially just like kicking the can down the road at this point. Um, Pump of Mentals, I see you got your hand up. What do you got for us?
Yeah, so I was gonna agree with I think it's Deer Point, and in connection with the policy response, I would draw attention to the fact that we um, we have kind of a gridlock situation this year, kind of between the Republicans and the Democrats as we move into midterms, and so anything short of a major financial crisis, it's going to be really hard to get through a major fiscal bill, and so I think that becomes the problem as the probability of recession increases this year. We have the fiscal impulse coming off. We also have monetary impulse coming off. The economy is already slowing down, and the energy shock is beginning to weigh on growth even more. Deerpoint brought attention to the yield curve falling. If you look at that on a back test, the rate of change and the sharpness that it's fallen in the shortest period, the period of time it has fallen in, has been just the forgetting the exact words to express, but just the fastest that we've seen in history. Just with the speed that the yield curve has crashed. So, I think as we have the energy and commodity prices continuing to move up, as those move up more, that increases the probability of a recession. And I think that is something that is a significant risk. And I don't think a lot of people are talking about it, mainly because of the focus on the invasion situation. So I think it'll become apparent once the inflation continues to deteriorate things, and the market crashes a bit more. But that's kind of how I'm seeing things at the moment.
Well, it seems like both Deer Point and Pump, you guys are I guess pointing to a little bit of a shorter term recession for like a quarter or maybe just two, opposed to a long standing like a year or so or a couple years of recession. Why do you think that we'll kind of, I guess, bounce back and recover so quickly?
I don't necessarily. I think it's still yet to be seen if we bounce back and recover quickly. I don't think we know that yet. I think just kind of what we see just based on the economic data and leading indicators. We have a period of weakness in Q2, Q3, and Q4. The danger of that is that it turns into a bigger risk off event and potential recessionary period if you have that reflexive feedback loops start to the downside as collateral values fall, and a bunch of high yield companies aren't able to roll over their debt, right? And we're already beginning to see signs of that with high yield spreads increasing. You can see that just with stuff like the HYG ETF, like selling off, right? And when rates on the short end begin to move up, I think people need to remember that the majority of junk bonds are short duration, right? So when you have the short end rally to the extent that it has, it puts pressure on the high yield market first, right? You'll usually have investment grade and longer duration stuff. You have a little bit more time. It'll still impact those, right? But the pressure is on high yield at the moment, and I think we're seeing that reflected in price. I think that's pretty clear.